محمد وآل محمد صلوات. مدد کرو فضا، مدد کرو فضا، مدد کرو فضا، مدد کرو فضا. شکستہ پہلو سے میرے یہ در ہٹا دو خدا را. مدد کرو فضا، مدد کرو فضا، مدد کرو فضا. تمہاری زحمتیں جلدی سے اب تمام کروں. میں جاتے جاتے جہاں سے انہیں سلام کروں. وہ دیکھو آ گئے بابا، اٹھا دو دے کے سہارا. مدد کرو فضا. گرا ہے ٹوٹ کے آنگن میں گوشوارا میرا. ہے کان زخمی ستمگر نے اس طرح مارا. علی نہ دیکھے خدا را، چھپا دو زخم یہ میرا. مدد کرو فضا. مریض موت کے جیسی نحیف لگتی ہوں میں آج تم سے زیادہ ضعیف لگتی ہوں. لگا ہے جب سے تماچا مجھے نظر نہیں آتا. مدد کرو فضا. سہارا دے کے مجھے لے چلو خدا را وہاں. وہ رسی باندھ کے حیدر کو لے گئے ہیں جہاں. نہ اب ہو دیر خدا را، ہے میرا مولا اکیلا. مدد کرو فضا. یہ بات سوچ کے دل غم سے پارا پارا ہے. حسن کے سامنے ظالم نے مجھ کو مارا ہے. بتا دو کیسے کروں گی بھلا میں سامنا اس کا. مدد کرو فضا، مدد کرو فضا، مدد کرو فضا. صلوات محمد چرخ تیرے ظلم کی کچھ انتہا نہیں، یہ سچ ہے کہ کسی سے بھی تو نے وفا نہیں، لیکن بتا دے کیا تجھے خوف خدا نہیں؟ یا فاطمہ سے بھی تجھے شرم و حیا نہیں، یا فاطمہ سے بھی تجھے شرم و حیا نہیں؟ زہرا کی قبر نجدیوں نے ہے ڈھا دیا، سچ تو یہ ہے کہ کعبہ ایماں گرا دیا، سچ تو یہ ہے کہ کعبہ ایماں گرا دیا، کعبے کو ڈھایا مرقد زہرا جو ڈھا دیا، کعبہ نہیں تھا عرش خدا تھا گرا دیا، یہ ظلم وہ ہے جس کی نہیں کوئی انتہا، پروردگار عصمت زہرا کا واسطہ، نازل بلا ان پہ کوئی آسمان سے، جلدی مٹا دے نجدیوں کو تو جہان سے، جلدی مٹا دے نجدیوں کو تو جہان سے، جانے رسول خاصے داور و فاطمہ، شوہر ہے جس کا ساقی کوثر و فاطمہ، شبیر و مجتبیٰ کی جو مادر و فاطمہ، پہلو پر جس کے ہائے گرا در و فاطمہ، تلوار اور پہلوئے زہرا ہزار ہے، پشت مبارک آپ کی در ہزار ہے، پشت مبارک آپ کی در ہزار ہے، ہی 5 سال کی کہ خدیجہ نے کی قضا، مادر کا سایہ سر سے اٹھاوا محمدہ، 18ویں برس میں پدر سے ہوئی جدا، جھیلی مصیبتیں وہ نہیں جس کی انتہا، زندہ رہی تو باپ کو رونا نہیں ملا، بعد رسول چین سے سونا نہیں ملا، بعد رسول چین سے سونا نہیں ملا، بیت الحزن کو جاتی تھی زہرا پے بکا، افسوس اس جگہ کو بھی امت نے ڈھا دیا، سائے میں بیٹھنا بھی گوارا نہیں ہوا، یہ قدر فاطمہ کی ہوئی وا محمدہ، کیسے کروں بیان جو ظلم و ستم ہوئے، باہر شمار میں وہ رنج و علم ہوئے، باہر شمار سے ہے وہ رنج و علم ہوئے، کیوں مومنوں کلیجا تمہارا نہ منہ کو آئے، دروازہ فاطمہ کے شکم پر گرایا، ہائے صدمے سے جس کے حضرت محسن وفات پائے، یہ سیدہ نے باپ کی امت سے دکھ اٹھائے، عالم میں اس طرح سے کسی پر جفا نہ ہو، مظلومہ فاطمہ سے کوئی یا خدا نہ ہو، مظلومہ فاطمہ سے کوئی یا خدا نہ ہو، سنتے ہیں مومنین تو کرتا ہوں میں بیان، بربادی قبور ائمہ کی داستان، خبر حسن پہ باندھے ہیں آدان بکریاں، اونٹوں کو لے کے جاتے ہیں ہر وقت سارباں، کی شرم کچھ خدا سے نہ اس کے رسول سے، اللہ سمجھے جلد یہ قوم جہول سے، اللہ سمجھے جلد یہ قوم جہول سے، رنجو علم کی دل پا گرے کیوں نہ نہ بجلیاں، مسجد علی کی گوشت کی دکان الاما، قبر خدیجہ پر تو برستی ہے گولیاں، اس واسطے کہ فاطمہ زہرا کی تھی یہ ماں۔ امت نے خوب قدریں رسالت ماں کی، خبریں بھی اہل بیت کی ہے خراب کی، خبریں بھی اہل بیت کی ہے خراب کی۔ جی چاہتا ہے کاٹ کے مر جائے خود گلا، مولد نبی کا ہو گیا افسوس مزبلہ، کس منہ سے یہ کہوں کہ ہوئے ظلم اور کیا، قبر بطول پاک کو کچرے سے بھر دیا، کچرے میں روز آگ لگاتے ہیں، بنتے نبی کی قبر جلاتے ہیں، بنتے نبی کی قبر جلاتے ہیں۔ نشا کی ہوئی آل مشکل کشا کی سلامی، ایمان تسلیم و صبر و رضا کے قاتل کے حق میں بھی شین، قاتل کے حق میں بھی شین، نہ چھوٹی دم مرگ تک فاطمہ سے اطاعت علی کی عبادت خدا کی رہے، خدایا یہ کس کی جناب ہے دلدار اسما ہے یہ کس کی جناب ہے کرسی زمین سے لیتی ہے گوشے پناہ کے بیٹھا ہے اچھے سائے میں کس بیٹھا ہے اچھے سائے میں کس بارگاہ کے الفات خدا کے بعد حبیب خدا کی ہے منصف کے پاس یہ بھی ولا کبریا کی ہے پروانہ فاقے کی نہ شکایت غذا کی ہے ایزا فقط جدائی خیر الورا کی ہے ایزا فقط جدائی خیر الورا کی ہے آب و غذا کی فکر نہ سونے کا دھیان ہے آنکھوں میں شکل باقی رو آنکھوں میں شکل باقی رو دیکھا دھیان ہے بیٹے پکارتے ہیں کہ للہ باہرہ اما نیت غلاموں پر رحم کھا نانا کہاں گئے ہیں بلا لائے ہم بتاؤ ہم کپڑے پھاڑتے نہیں تو گلے لگا کپڑے پھاڑتے نہیں تو گلے لگا نانا کے بعد آئے بے قدر ہم ہوئے سو بے کرا بزرگ کے بھی سو بے کرا بزرگ کے بھی پیار کم ہوئے آخر وفا گریا سے عاجز ہوئے عرب حیدر کے پاس رونے کی فریاد لائے سب کی عرض فاطمہ سے کہو اے ولی رام یا سیدہ تمہاری رعیت جابلا یا سیدہ تمہاری رعیت جابلا کھانے کا کوئی وقت نہ سونے کا وقت ہے جو وقت ہے وہ آپ کے رو جو وقت ہے وہ آپ کے رونے کا وقت ہے باہر سے مرتضیٰ گئے گھر میں جھکائے سر مونڈھا پہ رو رہی تھی اکیلی وہ قصیہ دینے لگے پیامے عرب شاہ بروبر گھبرا کے بولی ہائے کروں کیا میں بے پدا کے بولی ہائے کروں کیا میں بے پدا آبو میں موت ہوئے تو مر جاؤ یاری بابا کا سوگ لے کے کدھر بابا کا سوگ لے کے کدھر جاؤ یاری میری طرف سے اہل مدینہ کو دو پیام لوگوں خفا نہ ہو میری رخصت صبح و شام دو چار دن تمہارے محلے میں ہے مقام رونے کی دو ہو چکی کام ہے تمام رونے کی دو ہو چکی کام ہے تمام گھبراتی ہوں وطن میں سفر کے مہینے سے ہوگا کسے خیال
لہلا دلا دیا کہ پریشان آنگا
لہلا
دلا دیا کہ پریشان آنگا
کے بھی دھوئے زہرا نہ دیکھائے زہرا نہ دیکھائے زہرا نہ دیکھائے
مارے چلے
تو ہرے محلے میں محشر بپا ہوا اپنے پر آئے دوڑ کے ہائے ہائے یہ کیا ہوا عزا پکاری سیدہ کا واقعہ ہوا
حجرہ بطور پاک کا ماتم سرا ہوا
حجرہ
بطور پاک کا ماتم سرا ہوا
شادی خلق سے دیکھنے والوں کی بھر گئی
رکھے وہ مردے کے سائے
رکھے وہ
مردے کے سائے
رکھے وہ
مردے کے سائے نبی بن گئے
میں دود بخشوان نا پائی کے چل بسی شربت بنا کے لادنا پائی کے چل بسی کچھ حال دل سنانا پائی کے چل بسی
میں بے نصیب آنے نہ پائے کہ چل بسے
بے
نصیب آنے نہ پائے کہ چل بسے
کیا جلد تر زمانہ ہوا انتقال کا
ہائے ہائے ابھی تو زندہ کولا ابھی تو زندہ کولا 18 سال
میری خاک کشمیری نادار مجا اے میری بے دوا میری بیمار مجان کعبے کی آورو میری سردار مجان
میری صابرہ میری ناچار اما جان صابرہ میری ناچار اما جان
نام تو تھی کوئی تازہ خطاب دو
اما جوان تو میری جوان تو میری اما جوان
ننے سے سر کھلے ہیں نہیں سر پہ ٹوپیاں کہتے ہیں گوشت تو منہ سے نکلتا ہے ہائے ماں لکھا ہے جب جنازے پا پہنچے وہ نیجا
حسرت سے دیکھا مردے کا موئے کے بغار دیکھا مردے کا موئے کے بغار
مولا
لوگ سچے واسطے
راتیا
تم نبی کی زیارت
راتیا
تم نبی کی زیارت
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين سيدنا وسيد الأولين والآخرين بالقاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتخبين المنتجبين المظلومين الذين ذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. Salawat with the loudest of our voices for the tajeel of the faraj of Sahib al-Asr wal-Amr. Sallu ala Muhammad. Wabad, my brothers and sisters, elders and learners, scholars, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Azam Allahu ujurana wa ujurakum bi musabina بسيدتنا ومولاتنا أمنا فاطمة الزهراء بنت رسول الله محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept this small effort in the hopes of keeping the dhikr of the Ahlebaith alayhim salam alive. And we thank our generous host for opening their home, that we may congregate for the dhikr of Musa'ib Sayyidat Nisa'il Alameen. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept in the best of acceptance and to make it in the weight of deeds on a day when no family or friend will avail us except for the family of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Indeed, one of the mu'jizas of the muwadda of Sayyidat Nisa'il Alameen is that even though in her masa'ib the mal'oons of the time would not even allow Fatima to mourn in her own home. Today, wherever you go in the world, our homes are places where we mourn Fatima. They may plan, but Allah also plans, and Allah is indeed the best of planners. The oppression which took place immediately after the istishhad of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam
most brutal and some of the darkest days that the Muslim Ummah had witnessed.
In those days, there are personalities who were in the forefront of sacrificing for Islam during the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Of those personalities is Abu Dharr al-Ghifari, a man who, prior to Islam, history tells us he was a bandit, a thug, a gangster, if you will. Now, probably if Abu Dharr al-Ghifari lived in our time, he would be in the south side of Chicago, realistically. And Abu Dharr alayhi salamullah had such a notorious reputation that when the caravans would come to Mecca before Islam, Abu Dharr was one, if not the only person who will raid an entire caravan by himself. He wouldn't even use his sword. He would just, according to the traditions, a caravan will be traveling, and this Bedouin man will come out in the desert, and he will just say to them, "Assalamu alaikum, I am Abu Dharr." They say to him, "Take whatever you want, just leave us alone." That his reputation had preceded him. He was fearless. One instance, Abu Dharr happened to be passing the home of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he overheard the Prophet reciting the ayah of the Quran al-Kareem, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir la'in ar-rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, is it not time that the hearts soften for the dhikr of Allah?" And Abu Dharr said, "This ayah is for me, because all my life I have lived with a very tough heart. And I think now is the time that my heart softens for the dhikr of Allah." Abu Dharr al-Ghifari was the first person to publicly declare his Islam outside of the house of Bani Hashim. Meaning, when he entered the home of Rasulullah, he sat with Rasulullah, asked a few questions, walked out, went straight to the Kaaba, climbed onto the Kaaba and held onto the cloth. And began to cry out, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Rasulullah instantly calls back Abu Dhar. He says, Ya Abu Dhar, don't declare your Islam. They're going to harass you. He said, who? Who is going to harass me? And Abu Dhar became a shield for Islam. Abu Dhar was one of the shields of Islam. In the incident when the house of Amir al-Mu'mineen and the house of Sayyid al-Nisa al-Alameen was attacked, Abu Dhar instantly goes for his sword when he sees them attacking the home of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Salman says to him, Salman looks at Abu Dhar and he says, Ya Abu Dhar, put your sword back in its scabbard. Abu Dhar looks at Salman, he says to him, Ya Salman, if today our swords are not going to benefit Islam, then what day will they benefit Islam? Today is the day for our swords to come out. The house of Rasulullah is being attacked, the house of Fatima is being attacked, Amir al-Mu'mineen is being attacked. Salman said to him, Ya Abu Dhar, I see what you do not see. Inni ara ma la tara. Abu Dhar says to him, and what is it that you see that I do not see? He said, he is Ali ibn Abi Talib. If today was a day for swords, then he would have took out Dhul Fiqar. And when Ali takes out Dhul Fiqar, Islam is not in need of your sword or my sword. But I see Ali showing the future generations who is the zalim and who is the mazlum. You know, today history, if Amir al-Mu'mineen fought back, history would write that Ali ibn Abi Talib is, wal-'iyadhu billah, a zalim. That Ali ibn Abi Talib took his sword and began to kill everybody. And that's not what the Ahlebaith alayhim salamullah are about. People come forward and say, how can Ali let the house of Fatima be attacked? You know, it's very strange, like these people who have never read the Quran al-Kareem. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَمُنَّ عَلَى الَّذِينَ اسْتُضْعِفُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَنَجْعَلَهُمْ أَئِمَّةً وَنَجْعَلَهُمُ الْوَارِثِينَ. Allah didn't say وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَمُنُّ عَلَى الضُّعَفَاءِ فِي الْأَرْضِ. Allah said وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَمُنَّ عَلَى الَّذِينَ اسْتُضْعِفُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Meaning what? Dha'if means weak, someone who has la hawla wa la quwwa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even in the Bible and the Torah, the same ayah is mentioned. And the meek shall inherit the earth. The meek means what? It is a person who is strong, but people think they are weak, so therefore they treat them as if they are helpless. In Arabic we say, when you show generosity to the generous, you have owned him for the rest of his life. But when you show generosity to a person who is conjus, then that person only increases in their audacity against you. Meaning what? Meaning when you do good to a person who is generous, that person will always feel like they owe you one. They will always try to repay back your kindness because they are themselves generous. A person who doesn't have that quality in them, they think that you're stupid. They don't think you're generous because they don't have generosity. So they go to their friends and they're like, oh, I went to Dr. Fulan, I told him a story, he gave me $100. What a fool. But Dr. Fulan wasn't a fool. Dr. Fulan didn't want to make you look like a fool and tell you that you're lying to him. So he saved himself a hassle. He bought your silence with $100. This happened in the time of Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam. A man heard that Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam was giving money to anyone who came and was in need. And this guy was extremely wealthy, you know, like a millionaire, if you were to count in today's standard. And he came to Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salam, he put his hand out. He said, give me. The Imam took a bag of gold, gave him. When the man left, people looked at the Imam, they said, Imam, this guy's a millionaire. He's rich. Imam said, I bought the water off his face. In Arabic, it's an expression. When you work hard, you sweat, that's the water of your face. Your izzat in the community, your namus in the community, your word in the community, your standard in the community. The Imam said, he sold his izzat and I bought it. I could have been rude to him and said, no, you don't need the money, you don't deserve the money. But then that would be double shaming him. One, that is shameful for him to beg when he doesn't need. And two, is the shame of being denied and refused. So the karam of the Ahlul Bayt knows no bounds, knows no ends. Those mal'oons who themselves lack all the qualities that are in the Ahlul Bayt, they saw this as weakness in the Ahlul Bayt. So they saw them as ضعيف. So they istad'afuhum, they belittled the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salamullah. But the Ahlul Bayt are not little. And here Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salamullah wanted to show the world that there are people who are willing to kill to take over the reins of Islam. And there are people who are willing to be killed for the preservation of Islam. We are the group who is willing to be killed for Islam. We don't kill people for Islam. You know, even the other day, traveling, I was stopped by the US agents, the customs. Where are you going? Iraq? I said, look, you know, there's two groups in Iraq. There's a group that's doing the killing and there's a group that's getting killed. I'm from the group that's getting killed. We don't kill people. We're the Shia of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. When we go to ziyarah, we know that it's dangerous. Believe me, you don't need to tell us that it's dangerous in Iraq. We've already taken our precautions. And at the same time, we are not weak people. We just believe that our imams tell us true strength is in sabr fi sabilillah. That is why one of the most important things that we say to the imams in our ziyarah, ashhadu annakum sabartum fi janbillah wa udhitum fi janbillah. I testify that you stood side by side with God and were patient. And you suffered the suffering on behalf of God and remained patient. Meaning that you were being attacked, but the truth is that people were attacking the deen of Allah and you shielded it. And you became sabirin, muhtasibin عند Allah. The way that the Shia were being treated and continue to be treated. And actually there's a really good book which I really recommend, especially for our youth to read. It is The Untold Truth About Karbala, which documents as the final chapter in that book the suffering of the Shia of the Ahlul Bayt from the days of Abu Dharr al-Ghifari to our current day. And it is not something that has stopped. One of the incidents that took place in the time of Amir al-Mu'mineen, and it shows you how much resentment there is towards the Ahlul Bayt and the Shia of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salamullah. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salamullah, though Fadak was taken away from the Ahlul Bayt, the Imam had other parts of land which belonged to him, as well as to his family from Quraysh, which was some 20 kilometers outside of Medina. I think you just found that. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passes away, the suffering begins against the Shia of the Ahlul Bayt. Imam Ali alayhi salamullah goes to his fields, which are some 20 kilometers outside of the city of Medina. In that time, while Amir al-Mu'mineen is gone, there is a lady who has wila for Ahlul Bayt. She is in a position where she doesn't have wealth, nor does she have anyone on her behalf to go out and earn. So she has to go through some hardships and difficulties. The Shia of the Imam, including Abu Dharr al-Ghifari himself, were immediately denied any khums, any zakat, any sadaqah from Baytul Mal. It was a financial embargo on the Shia of the Ahlul Bayt, that if you supported Ali ibn Abi Talib, you will no longer be able to receive money from zakat. Therefore, this woman had to work extra hard in a kingdom that is known as the Kingdom of Islam, where there is no need for a woman to even work to begin with. Islamically, a woman never has to work, because there are checks and balances which are supposed to ensure her comforts in life are provided by her father, by her husband, by her sons, somebody in her household. But there is no takalluf on a woman in Islam that she has to work. This woman, within less than 6 months after the demise of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is having to work in her old age. While she is returning, whatever she was carrying fell from her. When it fell, she had to go now and pick it up again. Feeling oppressed at this moment in time because of the suffering that she is being made to undergo, she said, Allahumma al'an qatalat al-Zahra. Oh Allah, send your la'na on whomever killed Zahra. That one statement reached the ears of one of the secret police of Abu Bakr al-La'in. When the news reached, they immediately ordered that this woman be captured, and they beat her with sticks until she died. When Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam Allah returned, he noticed that the Shia of Medina were all wearing the clothes of mourning, Azar. And they all looked oppressed. Amir al-Mu'mineen went to Salman. He said to him, Ya Salman, what is the matter? He said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, the oppression on your Shia has intensified. So much so that when we curse those who killed Fatima to Zahra, we are killed for it. Amir al-Mu'mineen goes to the grave of this woman. And he does what Ibrahim alayhi salam Allah did when he raised the dead. He brought a bird and placed its 4 parts on the grave of this lady. He placed his hand on top of her grave, recited Surah Al-Fatiha, and she rose from her grave back to life. Salman looked astonished. Imam Ali looks at Salman. He says, حَقٌّ عَلَيْنَا نُصْرَةُ شِيعَتُنَا. It is divine wajib. Allah made it wajib upon us, the Ahlul Bayt, the Imam of the time, to give madad to the Shia when they are oppressed. That's a great statement for the sole purpose, obviously many other reasons, but for the sole purpose that the Imam here is saying, حَقٌّ عَلَيْنَا نُصْرَةُ شِيعَتُنَا. Meaning the Imam is never in need of your nusra. We are in need of the nusra. Meaning mu'mineen, that the Imam is not weak, because the weak can never give nusra to another person. The weak himself is in need of nusra. Therefore, that means when the Imams ever call for nusra, it is not nusra for themselves, it is the nusra of the religion. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded in the Quran Kareem, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, kunu ansarullah. O you who believe, give nusra to Allah. How? In the same way that the disciples of Jesus gave nusra to him, when they said. So meaning here we have to focus on the what did they say. When Isa ibn Maryam said, إِذْ قَالَ عِيسَى ibn Maryam مَنْ أَنصَارِي إِلَى اللَّهِ قَالُوا نَحْنُ أَنصَارُ اللَّهِ. Beautiful statement. Jesus asks, who are my helpers? To Allah. مَنْ أَنصَارِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. They didn't say we are your Ansar. They said we are the Ansar of Allah, meaning that Jesus, whether you are here or whether you are dead, we will still continue to support the religion of Allah, with you or without you. We as the mu'mineen have been commanded to give nusra to the deen of Allah, whether we see our imam or our imam is in ghaibah. Whether Fatima was oppressed today or whether she was oppressed 1400 years ago, it is wajib on us to give her nusra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why do I say this? Especially with our conversations about albaqi.org. You know, I speak to a lot of my friends, and every time I mention that there is a particular campaign that might require your name to be signed and it has something to do with Saudi Arabia, people tend to back out. Fear sets in. I don't want to be on a list. I don't want to be monitored. I don't. The nusra is wajib. The nusra is wajib. Allah commanded us to give nusra. Oppression, don't worry about being oppressed. There is an imam. His job is to help you when you are oppressed. Your job is to give nusra to the deen. When that nusra gets you in hot water, your imam will come and help you. Don't worry about that. There's absolutely no doubt. The angels came to give Imam Hussain nusra in Karbala. He said, I don't need your help. My imam is not in need of help. My imam is there to help. My imam is there to help me help myself become in line with the divine. My imam is there to give me madad. When we recite the daily ziyaras, those of us who recite it, if you don't, I strongly encourage we get into the habit. Every day there is a mahsus ziyara for the mahsumeen. On Saturday it is mahsus ziyara of Rasulullah. Sunday is mahsus ziyara of Amir al-Mu'mineen and Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen. Sallu ala Muhammad. Monday is Nusra. You know, people say, I hate Mondays. I love Mondays. Monday is the day of Hassan and Hussain. Al-Ithnain. Tuesday is the day of Imam Zainul Abidin. Baqiru al-Nabiyyin, Sadiq al-Muhammad. Wednesday is for Imam Musa ibn Ja'far, Ali ibn Musa Ridha, Muhammad ibn Ali, Ali ibn Muhammad. Thursday is Mahsus for Imam al-Askari. Thursday is Mahsus for Imam al-Askari. Friday is Mahsus for Al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan. In every one of those ziyaras of the Imams that we recite respectively on their days, there is a conclusion in that ziyara that we recite. Ahsantum. Ya Imam Fulan Fulan, Ana dhayfukum wa jarukum. Today I am your guest, I am your mehman, and I am your neighbor. So show me generosity as my host and give me protection as your neighbor. For you are the generous and the child of the generous one. And Allah has commanded you to show generosity to your guest and commanded you to give shelter to whomever seeks protection in you. Marwan ibn al-Hakam la'natullah alayhi. When the people rose against Yazid, he had nowhere to hide. And he heard that the people are going to harass his women. He said, is there anyone in Arabia who has a little bit of namus and ghira in them that I can leave my women as amanat in his house and he can protect them? They said, only one house, the house of Zainul Abidin. He goes to Zainul Abidin alayhi salam Allah. Imam Zainul Abidin takes all of his women and he protects them. Someone came to the Imam, he said, Ya ibn al-Zahra, did you forget what they did to the women of your household? Now you're giving them ijara, protection. He said, by Allah, if Shimr gave me the dagger which he severed the head of my father and told me it is an amana, I would not betray it. My Imam can give nusra to the filth like that, and you think he will abandon you and I when it comes to the nusra of Ahlebaith al-Baqi? My Imam is treating the one who is bad to him with kindness, what about the one who is good to him? My Imam protected the family of the one who made his family suffer. What about my family when I weep for the suffering of the Imam's family? You think something will happen to my family? Therefore, it comes to an idea of yaqeen and understanding that our oppression is nothing new. But the support of the Ahlul Bayt is very old. It's always been there. And therefore, we must be steadfast in the nusra of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam Allah in their mazlumiyah. What we are doing here today is amazing and wonderful. Saturday night in a country that gives you the absolute freedom to be anywhere else, and we choose voluntarily to be in the Majlis of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam Allah. This in itself is nusra. This in itself is training, conditioning. That our values are in line with their values. What concerns them concerns us. But there is also more than that required. There is the need to give nusra even at the cost of your own life, because believe me, your Imam will always be there for you, and if you are not saved by the Imam, it is because the Imam has something better saved for you on the other side. You know, I tell you truthfully, my father, the doctors gave him, they were counting his life in 2-minute intervals. He had a car accident going 90 miles an hour. Fell off the highway 30 feet, the car tumbled, you know, it was a Ford Transit van, it looked like a Mini Cooper. The police officer that found him literally came to the hospital when he heard he survived. He came up to him, he said, "Your God Ali is a very strong God." I swear I still remember. My dad said, "What do you mean, my God Ali?" He said, "When I came, I found you laying down, you had your hand up saying, Ya Ali, Ya Ali, Ya Ali, Ya Ali." I said, "That Ali," he said, "I've never seen someone survive an accident like this. That Ali saved you." When my father was in hospital, one of my friends by the name of Zamin Sharif came, and I went outside to have a cigarette. Everybody in the family is crying. Zamin said to me, he said, "This is not a time to be macho, be a man. If you want to cry, cry. He's your father. It's understandable." My exact words to him were, "My hope, I placed it on the door of Fatima to Zahra. If she gives me back my father, it's not the first time she has shown us karam. If she takes him, it is the least that we can offer her." When my father woke up, he said, "I had something in my hand like dust." And indeed, we had put dust from the actual grave of Imam Hussain alayhi salam Allah in his hand while he was in coma, and I taped it together. He said, "I had this dust in my hand that whatever I want and need, I just say Bismillah and rub the dust together and I get it." He said, "I saw Adam alayhi salam Allah in his moment of tawbah. I saw Nuh after the flood, and I sat with the Prophet of Allah and I spoke with them, and I saw Imam Hassan and. He said, "Then I said, Karbala. I want to go to Karbala. I want to see if what they say on the minbar actually happened to Imam Hussain or no." He says, "Karbala," he said, "someone put their hand on my chest. I look down, I see a hand. I look up, I see Imam Hussain." He said, "You're not going Karbala." He said, "But Yabna Rasulullah, I just want to see what happened." He said to him, "If I take you to Karbala and you see what happened to us, there is no returning to the dunya. There is no returning to the dunya. And one of your sons has taken the name of my mother Fatima to Zahra." I'm outside the hospital when I said this. My father is in the hospital in a room, ICU. How does he know what I said? I never repeated it next to him. One of your children has asked and taken the name of my mother Fatima to Zahra, that she returns you or she keeps you, and she wants to return you. And when you come back to us, you will be on good. I share this with you for the sole purpose that what I mean to say is that if you are going to die on the wilayah of the Ahlul Bayt, it's because whatever's on the other side is better than what's on the side. Believe me. Believe me. The Ahlul Bayt alayhim salamullah never abandon you. And we ought to never abandon them. Fatima Zahra alayhi salamullah, who wept for the Shia of Hussain long before we were born, you and I. She knows my name and your name. The least that we can do is put our names on a list that says here is a number of people who are concerned about Jannatul Baqi and its restoration. That's all that's needed. That is the least that we can do for Sayyidat Nisa al-Alamin. Bibi wa Ummi, in her final days, when she would weep over the oppression that befell her, when she says, "Subbat alayya masaibun law annaha subbat ala al-ayyam sirna layaliya." What masaib, ya Fatima? That in her very own home she was not allowed to recite. In her very own home she could not weep. Those mal'oons came and said, "Ya Ali, silence Fatima. Her crying is disturbing us." Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salamullah has to go and build a whole new home known as Bayt al-Huzn or al-Ahzan, the house of sorrows that Fatima may mourn for her father Rasulullah. Not a ghareeb, for Rasulullah. And people tell us that the ummah of Rasulullah cared about Islam. La'natullah. The oppression was such that even in her death, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayha, Fatima was not at a state of rest. Because she knew exactly what will happen to her children after her. Of the heartbreaking masaib before she passed away, Bibi wa Ummi, she said to Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, "Ya Ali, when I am buried in my grave, bury me at night time. And do not let them walk behind my janazah, for Allah knows that I despise them and I am angry with them. Ya Ali, the grave will be a lonely place. So visit my grave at night time and recite the Quran near my grave, for Allah knows how much I love the Quran." Amir al-Mu'mineen said, "I would go every night to the grave of Fatima. He would rush to be by her side. He would sit by her grave and he would recite the Quran." One day while he was reciting, Amir al-Mu'mineen wept and wept until he fell asleep at the grave of Fatima. When he fell asleep at the grave of Fatima, he says, "I saw Fatima to Zahra." She said, "Ya Ali, stop reciting the Quran. Do not come back to my grave. Ya Ali, go back to the house right at this very moment." He said, "Ya Fatima, have I done anything to upset you? You asked me to come to your grave and recite the Quran. Now you're telling me not to come anymore. O daughter of Rasulullah, are you upset with me?" She said, "No, Ya Ali, Zainab just woke up." Woke up, and for the very first time the house is empty of her mother and her father. Yes, Zainab opened her eyes, the home is empty, no Fatima and no Ali. Fatima to Zahra cares so much about Zainab al-Kubra. She tells Amir al-Mu'mineen, go back, do not leave her side. I say, Ya Fatima, what about in Karbala on Sham Gharib? When Zainab looked around and there is no Ali, no Fatima, no Hassan, no Hussain, yes? Ajrukum ala Allah. Fatima to Zahra, before she departed this world, the traditions say that she was with Zainab al-Kubra. She gave an amana to Zainab. Zainab was only 3 years old. Zainab in Karbala was almost 48 years old. That means for 45 years Zainab is carrying this amana. What is the amana that Zainab al-Kubra is carrying from Fatima to Zahra? Yawm Ashura, when Imam Hussain was alone, after Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, after Ali al-Asghar, Imam al-Hussain said, who will bring me my horse? Zainab brings Dhul Jannah to Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. Imam al-Hussain gets on the back of the horse. As he is about to leave, Zainab comes out of the tent. She calls out to Abu Abdullah, Mahlan mahla yabna Zahra. Be patient, oh the son of Fatima to Zahra. Imam al-Hussain turns around to Zainab. He says, Zainab, you mentioned the name of Fatima to Zahra. Zainab, by Allah, you are cutting my heart into pieces. Why would you mention the name of Fatima in the time such as this? She said, Abu Abdullah, get off from the top of your horse and remove your armor. Let me see your neck. Let me see your chest. He said, Zainab, this is a strange request. She said, Abu Abdullah, do as I ask of you. He removed his armor. She smelled the fragrance from the neck of Abu Abdullah. She kissed the chest of Abu Abdullah. She turned her face towards Madinat Rasulullah, saying, Mother Fatima, your amana is finally delivered. Imam al-Hussain said, Zainab, what amana are you talking of? She said, Abu Abdullah, when our mother was on her deathbed and I was crying for her broken rib, she said, Ya Zainab, on Yawm Ashura, you will see the ribs of Abu Abdullah. Ya Zainab, you will see the killing of the infant Ali al-Asghar. Ya Zainab, on such a day, smell the fragrance of the neck that will be severed. Kiss the chest that will be trampled beneath the horses. Tell Abu Abdullah, your mother Fatima left the world while she was weeping for you. على القوم الظالمين وسيعلمون الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب سينقلبون مات من حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين
माते में अर्जुमान जिसके आस्तान पाक के खुशियान अर्श है गुलाम हर दुरूद और हर सलाम मातरे हुसैन हर दुरूद और मातरे हुसैन तेरे आरज़ू क़ल्ब मुस्तफ़ा जिसके लाडले हसन हुसैन जिसकी बेटियां फलक मुक़ाम हर दुरूद और हर सलाम मातरे हुसैन तेरे नाम हर दुरूद और हर सलाम मातरे हुसैन तेरे नाम टकराता फर्क शाही चल रहा था खंजरे लहे बीबी आप देखती रही मिट गए हरम जले कयाम हर दुरूद और हर सलाम मातरे हुसैन तेरे नाम हर दुरूद और हर सलाम मातरे हुसैन तेरे नाम सानी जनाब अल्लाह अल्लाह तेरा हौसला खूब की हिफाजत हराम बाद कत्ल सैयद अनाम हर दुरूद और हर सलाम मारे हुसैन तेरे नाम हर दुरूद और हर सलाम मारे हुसैन तेरे नाम बीबी गम उठाए हैं दिल पे दाग खाए हैं बहुत दिल पे आए हुसैन की बहार हो गई मुसीबतें तमाम हर दुरूद और हर सलाम मारे हुसैन तेरे नाम हर दुरूद और हर सलाम मारे हुसैन तेरे नाम करबला में अपने दिल कर दिए हुसैन पर फिदा और मोहम्मद जरी हो गए शहीद तशनकाम हर दुरूद और हर सलाम मारे हुसैन तेरे नाम हर दुरूद और हर सलाम मारे हुसैन तेरे नाम दौलते बतूल लुट गई दुख्तरे रसूल लुट गई छिन गई सरों से चादरे जल गए हुसैन के क़याम हर दुरूद और हर सलाम मारे हुसैन तेरे नाम हर दुरूद और हर सलाम मारे हुसैन तेरे नाम मैयत मरी है क्या करे हुसैन की बहन बेकसी और ऐसी बेकसी शाम और करबला की शाम हर दुरूद और हर सलाम मारे हुसैन तेरे नाम हर दुरूद और हर सलाम मारे हुसैन तेरे नाम सलाम अलैहि शाह सलाम अलैहि शब्बीर शब्बीर सलाम शाह सलाम अलैहि बकुल सलाम शाह सलाम अलैहि आबिदो सलाम शाह सलाम अलैहि कासी सकीना सलाम शाह सलाम अलैहि ने मुजाहिद सलाम शाह सलाम अलैहि कुर्र दिलावर सलाम शाह सलाम अलैहि शाह सलाम अलैहि शाह सलाम अलैहि सकीना गुफ्ताग पिदर ज़ारम 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 हसीराइन कौम ستمگارم سکینہ گفتاغ پدر دارم اسیر قوم ستمگارم سکینہ گفتاغ پدر دارم سکینہ گفتاغ پدر دارم سکینہ گفتاغ پدر دارم ترانہ نالم حسین ترانہ گریم حسین من یتیمن حسین من اسیرم حسین سینہ پا به قدم دارم برا که بمانی سو به یارم دری خرابانه برادر نه مهان در نه پدر یالی فاطمه و ویلا فاطمه و ویلا فاطمه و ویلا فاطمه و ویلا غربتا و ویلا فاطمه 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 و ویلا 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 یا علی هاي 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 هاي
السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ. السلام علیکم یا غریب المرضى. السلام علیکم یا مائے وزافات سلطان ابو الحسن یا علی ابن موسی رضا. السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ.